This young man saw the police committing a crime. He told a few friends, and the night he told his friends was the night he disappeared for good. 3 weeks later, his family would get a call from a police commander informing them of the death of their son. This story is currently causing a major crisis in Nkoranza, Ghana, and we need to talk about it. Although at this point it's a developing story, we may not have all the details yet so far because according to the police, an investigation is currently ongoing. But this is everything that we know about the killing of 27-year-old Albert Akwasi Donkor, a Ghanaian trader whose death has turned into a national mystery. The police have their own version of what happened to him, and the family as well as the people have their own version of what happened to him. These two versions do not tally, which means someone is lying. So who is lying and who is telling the truth? The Ghana police claimed that around 19th and 20th of April of 2022, there were a series of robberies carried out in Nkoranza, Ghana. Through their investigation, they identified 6 suspects, one of whom was 27-year-old Albert Donkor. On the 25th of April 2022, around 1 a.m., it was said the police stormed Albert's home, one he shared with his mother. He was arrested and taken to Nkoranza police station. The mother followed him to the station that early morning or that midnight, and when he got there, the last she saw of him was him behind the counter probably writing a statement, and she was advised to go and come back when it was done, and that was what she did. However, when Albert's mother came back when it was done, she did not see her son in the Nkoranza police station anymore. When she asked, the mother was told that her son had been transferred to another police station in a nearby county, and so the mother went to that police station. When she got to that police station, she was also told that her son had been transferred to another police station. That was how Albert's mother went through almost all the police stations around the vicinity looking for her son. She met commanders, she met officers in charge, and none of them could give her a reasonable or a tangible or a simple answer as to where her son, Albert Donkor, was. For 3 whole weeks, this woman kept searching for her son along with her family members and friends of Albert. Where did the police take this young man to? They accused him of being an armed robber. Fine, so doesn't he get a lawyer? Wasn't he allowed to see his family? Has he been charged with the crime? Has he been tried? How come a suspect who has been accused of robbery suddenly just vanishes without a trace? On the 13th of May 2022, Albert's mother would get a call from a police commander who told her that her son had been killed in a crossfire during an intelligence operation the police were carrying out. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Albert was shot in a crossfire during an intelligence operation that the police were carrying out. What does that even mean? This was my question when I first heard or read about it. Like, what do they mean by a crossfire? Isn't this guy supposed to be in jail? Isn't he supposed to be in handcuffs? Isn't he supposed to be behind bars? How was he caught in a crossfire during an intelligence operation? And what the hell do they mean by intelligence operation? What does that even mean? Is it that they brought this guy out and gave him a gun to play was start? Or is it that the crossfire happened in the prison cell where he was? Because this did not make sense to the parents, and I don't think this makes sense to anybody who hears it the first time. You come to pick a man from his house and arrest him, accusing him of being an armed robber. 3 weeks later, you call to tell the family that their son has been killed in a shootout between armed robbers and the police. What does that mean? How did this crossfire happen in the police station? Clearly, the family needed more answers because this did not make sense. What do you mean our son was killed in a crossfire? Isn't he supposed to be in your care? The first explanation the police gave was that, they were trying to transport Albert to another prison or to another district when armed robbers stopped their van and basically attacked them, and in the process they killed Albert. I don't know why armed robbers would want to attack a van that was transporting criminals. I don't know. Was there money in the van too? So since that did not make sense too, because nobody understands where the armed robbers suddenly appeared from to engage the police in a crossfire when they were transporting a suspected criminal. This is the police explaining their side of the story as to what happened to Albert Donkor. Eventually, the police gave a very clear explanation. They said that Albert was a suspected armed robber, and when they picked him up from his home to arrest him, he was then told to lead the police to the hideouts or to the location of the remaining 5 members of his supposedly armed robbery gang. The police are claiming that it was in the process of taking Albert to show them where the other gang members were, that the gang members supposedly engaged the police in a crossfire and there was a shootout, and in the process Albert was killed. This is the clear explanation of the police at this point. This is as clear as they can be. They are claiming that it was the armed robbers that Albert Albert is supposedly involved with that killed him in a crossfire when Albert took them to go and reveal their location. So there's a lot of things that still did not add up, despite the fact that the police have been clear as to how this all happened. How do you take a suspect to reveal the locations of other culprits that you know might be dangerous? And is it not enough for the culprit, or is it not enough for the suspect to tell you where the culprits are and you guys go and figure it out yourself? Did they have to take him along? And let's assume whatever they are saying is true. Still, the police are liable for his death. They ought to pay for this. This is not something that they can get away with. I don't understand why they are trying to pin his death on the armed robbers. What if they were the one who shot the gun at him during the process? And shouldn't he be in their care? And let's assume the crossfire actually happened between the armed robbers and the police. Was it only Albert that died? Who else also died? Because if there was a crossfire, there would have been bullets flying up and down. And I would believe Albert should have probably been in the car or in the vehicle, seeing that he might have been handcuffed and kept there. So how was he the only one affected by the crossfire? Who else also died? Give us statistics, give us names, give us pictures of the other police victims who were caught in the crossfire, because apparently it seemed like only Albert was killed in a crossfire that he was not even involved in. If the police were shooting back at the armed robbers, how come Albert was the only one killed in the crossfire? This did not make sense to a lot of people, because this is a question that the police would have to answer. Another question that the police would have to answer with this their claim is, when did this crossfire happen? When did this shootout happen? Because if he was taken on the 25th of April and his mother was called on the 13th of April to be informed of his death, then at what point within these 3 weeks did this crossfire happen? Because I would believe it would happen in one day. In the police statement, they claim that the moment it happened, that was when they called the family of Albert. So if they called the family of Albert on the 13th, it most likely means that Albert must have been killed on the 12th, or let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say 11th. So let's assume this happened on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. What happened to all the other days that he was not in the crossfire? Where was Albert? Because the family of Albert kept looking for him in all the police stations around and across Ghana, and they could not find him. So where was he hidden? Where did they keep this young man till the crossfire incident? How come the guy was in a custody or was kept somewhere and the family were not allowed access to him, nor were his lawyers or people who cared for him? You guys kept this man hidden from the world until he died, and now you're informing the parents or informing the family, telling them he died in a crossfire. This is a question that the police would have to answer, because it doesn't make sense. Because if for some reason you guys had kept him to get questions from him or to get answers from him, where was Albert all the while his family, his mother, was searching for him? Throughout the entire 3 weeks that he was taken from his house, where did you guys keep him before taking him to a crossfire where he got killed, allegedly by you guys? There is a 3 weeks plot hole that the police would have to fill with their statements, because whatever they put out there is not explaining the disappearance of this young man from all the police stations in Ghana. So that is the police side of the story, but the family of Albert is calling bullshit. They are claiming that the police is lying, and the truth is they have every reason to, because the plot hole in the police explanation is not giving what it's supposed to give. This is looking like them trying to cover up their ass. Unfortunately for them, the ass is still very much visible, and it has a lot of rashes in it, because this isn't clear. The family of Albert also pointed out that the group of policemen that came to pick Albert that day on the 25th of April were the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, a division of police specialized in dealing with armed robbers in Ghana there. And if you are Nigerian, this will sound very familiar to you. Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, the one that the entire nation of Nigeria literally fought to destroy. The division of police that caused so much damage, killed so many young youths, destroyed so many lives, and destroyed so many homes. Even up till this day, Nigeria is still dealing with the effect of SARS operatives. And so the moment I heard that the SARS operatives in Ghana were the ones involved in this Albert Donkor's case, I did not want to hear what the police have to say again. At this point, forgive my prejudice, but the police are lying. As long as it involved this Special Anti-Robbery Squad, this young man was murdered in cold blood for no just cause. He was killed extrajudicially, and the police are trying to cover it up. The moment I heard that SARS operatives were the one involved in taking this boy from his home, I just knew that this had nothing to do with the boy being an armed robber. It was definitely so much more. But my first question is, why would they want to kill this boy? There have to be a reason. Why was Albert a target? He was just a trader. Was he really an armed robber? And if he was an armed robber, what were the evidence that made this anti-robbery squad suspect him? Was a gun found on him? Was he found with his gang members? Why did the police, or why did this anti-robbery squad have to come to his house at midnight to pick him up, only for him to disappear and be found dead and claim to have been caught in a crossfire? Well, it turned out that there is an actual explanation, because people believe that Albert had seen something that he shouldn't have, and he had said something that he probably shouldn't have, and this might have been the reason why the anti-robbery squad killed him and decided to want to cover it up. So what did Albert see, or what did he say that would have warranted these people to target him the way they just did? Because it did not make sense that these people came as early as 1 to drag him from his mother's home. These are a special anti-robbery squad. You guys are supposed to be professional. Albert was not somebody who was a runner. He was always available. This was somebody who trekked and walked on his feet. He was always friendly to the neighborhood. They could have caught him in the daytime if they wanted to. The boy was not running. He wasn't a suspect. He wasn't a wanted person. For the police to have to track him down at midnight when they know that he's not a threat or he's not somebody who was wanted, it's clearly personal for them and doesn't seem to have anything to do with him. Because if indeed he was a suspect, they would have caught him in the daytime or any other time except that midnight. They did that midnight to cover up their own tracks and nothing more. Tracking him by midnight is something you would do to Osama bin Laden. That was how he was caught. So why were they doing this to this regular boy who drinks at bar, who you could easily find in his shop to arrest? He even lived with his mother. So were they searching for him that they could not find, that they had to trace him at the dead of the night? The police would have to explain why they had to come at the dead of the night to find this boy that was just a regular youth in the community. Why did they have to do it that way? And then it was also noted that the vehicle that the special anti-robbery squad came to pick this boy in was not labeled, was untagged. You would think the police would come with a van that is written police on it or SARS on it. The vehicle that came to pick him was unregistered and it was unmarked. It was a generic vehicle, which clearly means that this was an abduction. This was kidnapped. I guess that was why the mother had to follow them to the station, because maybe if that was a police van, she wouldn't have worried so much. Only for her to go the next day and hear that her son has vanished. They clearly just took the boy to that police station so the mother can calm down, because they had a bigger plan for him and they waited for the mother of that boy to go home first before they did whatever they wanted to do to Albert. The police are so adamant that this guy was a suspected robber, was a suspected gang member, but yet they've not provided any evidence that would suggest such. Did anybody get robbed and they identified Albert? Let the person come out and say, yes, Albert robbed me so day, so we can know. Did you guys find a gun in his possession? Speak out and bring out the weapon that you saw with him. What did you guys see this guy do that made you suspect him to be a robber? We need that evidence. The police are claiming he was a suspected armed robber. How does a suspected armed robber go to being dead in a crossfire, someone that's supposed to be in your custody? This is not tallying. This story is not helping the police at all. And wait till you hear the revelation that the family gave that may suggest that the police were only trying to cover up their ass when they took this boy away from his home to kill him. So according to the family, around the 24th and 25th of April of 2022, Albert got robbed by a group of robbers. His phone, money, and laptop were stolen from him. And I think he and his friends also got robbed too in that same robbery incident that happened to him. His friends were also involved. Now, during the robbery, Albert kind of recognized one of the robbers. He marked the person's face. It's unclear if he recognized him that instant, but it was said that the night of the 25th, Albert went to a bar or a club and spotted a man in a SARS uniform, and he recognized the man to be one of the guys who robbed him of his laptop and phones as well as that of his friends. So Albert clearly told people that, oh, that is the guy that robbed us. He's a police officer. Well, he was the one who robbed us, who took my phone, took my laptop. Albert was very certain that one of the people who robbed him the other day was a police officer, and the police officer was even present at the bar or club where he was. So Albert telling his friends that, one of the people who robbed him the other day was a police officer, and even identifying the police officer, words got back to that said police officer who was present in the bar. So this police officer, hearing that he had been recognized by somebody he robbed, kind of took actions from there on. This is where many people believe that Albert's abduction could have stemmed from, because it was that same day, the 25th, the next day, early in the morning, around midnight, that a group of SARS operatives came to his house and ordered him to come out. They did not even break him, they told him come out, and he was taken and arrested and never to be heard from again. So is it a coincidence that the day Albert recognizes one of the thieves that stole his phone to be a police officer was the same day he got vanished in the hands of the police? Is that a coincidence? Because many people have correlated the story that Albert actually saw a police officer who he recognized robbed him. So many people who were there at the club have repeated the story. This is why the youths are angry, because they know the story. They know that it was the same day that Albert told them that a police officer robbed him. It was the same day he vanished. And ironically, people are speaking and saying that that police officer has not been found. He has not been seen. During this whole riot that is going on in Nkoranza now, the police officer has not been identified. So where is that police officer? Is he hiding or has he run away? And it's not as if when the SARS who came to pick him, they told him, oh look, we are arresting you because you lied on one of us. You told your friends that we stole from you. Come to the station and explain yourself. These people came with a new accusation, and that is what makes this thing very fishy. If for some reason they stuck to the initial claim that Albert was spreading rumors against them, that would have made more sense. But for them to come with a new accusation that he's an armed robber and he's involved in a gang of 6 other armed robbers without any proper evidence, without anything to back this up, this is making them look bad. And I don't blame the Nkoranza youths for protesting, because this is very suspicious. So guys, these are the 2 stories so far regarding the disappearance, kidnap, and eventual killing of Albert Donkor. So who is lying? Because I only see one person here that is not telling the truth. The police are supposed to explain the situation, but their explanation is giving too many potholes. And they would be the one to fill it up themselves, because it's not making sense and it's not tallying. The timeline of things does not tally. If he was killed on the 13th, 11th, or 12th, where was he all the while? And why did they keep him away from his family? Why did they keep him away from his lawyers? He could not communicate with them on phone, nor could he see them. So where was he all the while? And have the police taken their time to investigate the claim that Albert saw one of their own rob him? Because let's put it like this, these SARS members caused a major mayhem in Nigeria. And maybe this is where I am speaking from. Maybe this is why I cannot be on the side of the police on this case, because I have seen this happen firsthand. We have seen this happen before our very eyes. These special anti-robbery squad members are some of the biggest criminals you would ever find. These are the people committing some of the biggest crimes. And it will surprise you the extent they can go to cover up their tracks. It will surprise you the extent or the amount of lives that they are willing to trade just to cover up their asses. If this can tear Nigeria into 2, then I'm not surprised at what is happening in Nkoranza right now. I'm glad that the people are speaking up and demanding answers, because they deserve to know the truth. And if this guy was killed extrajudicially, the culprits need to be held down, held accountable, arrested, and punished for it. The police should stop trying to cover it up. The police should stop trying to give out statements that makes them look stupid, because this is how young people will keep on getting killed. This is how young people will keep on disappearing, because a special division of police holds so much power that they feel that they could be the one to prevent robbery and still be the ones to carry out the robbery. So as it stands now, the case is ongoing. The police are claiming that there is an investigation going on. The people are still demanding answers, and someone is yet to be held accountable for the death of this young man. The last I read of this case was that the family had refused to see the body of their son. They want the case to be investigated and they want justice first before they see the body. Personally, I would advise they look at the body and see the gun and see what bullets passed through. And I don't know if they have the technology there in Ghana where they can trace the guns that shot the bullet and know where the gun came from and who would most likely would have had that kind of bullets in their guns, to know if it's from a police officer or an armed robber. And it's also good to know the direction of the bullet, because if he was killed execution style, it will be very different from when it's a hit and miss or when it's a crossfire gunshot, because I feel like a crossfire gunshot would not be very precise. If he was shot at a precise spot in his body, very precise, that is how you know it was execution style, which would mean that only one person would have access to him. That means he must have been killed at close range, and it was only close to the police, because the police would have to explain where they were when somebody shot him at close range. But if he was caught in a crossfire, I want to believe the bullet wound would be messy and very unspecified or very scattered. Most likely more than one bullet, if you ask me. But if they see only one bullet in a very specific place in his body, or they see bruises and injuries and beating on his body, then I think the family should have to sue the entire Ghana police, because they would have to pay for this. There is so much pain in my heart right now, because when I think of what happened in Nigeria with the special anti-robbery squad, thinking of all the victims that this affected and having to see this play out in Ghana again, it's annoying. It's almost like maybe the whole African country need to stand up against SARS, because let me say this to my Ghanaian viewers, the special anti-robbery squad operative destroyed Nigeria. They took a lot of lives, and that was why we stood up to fight against it. And I feel if you people don't want the case of Albert to continue, this might be a good time to hold your police accountable. I'm not saying you should end SARS in your place, but let them know that you guys know what they are capable of. And put an eye on them, because these people, they are like that. Do I believe that Albert saw one of them robbing him and stealing his laptop? I believe so, because it happened in Nigeria a lot of times. They will rob you, steal your money, steal your cars, take you to the ATM, withdraw all your money, and still kill you on top. Make sure that your family don't see you. They will do that. They have done that. And guess what? They get away with it. More than half the time, they will always get away with it because they are the ones writing the police reports. They are the ones investigating themselves. When the police say, oh, we're going to investigate the situation, it's the same people. The same people who came to kidnap the young man are the same people telling you that they're going to investigate it. What do you think is going to come out of it? Who do you think they will hold responsible? No one. So, to my Ghanaian viewers, put an eye on your special anti-robbery squad, because Albert Donkor might not be the last you hear of this special anti-robbery squad. They are sort of dangerous because they are very powerful. I believe the police know more than what they're saying. I believe the special anti-robbery squad took advantage of the fact that Albert came from a poor home to oppress him and rid him of the truth that he has seen or said. And even if he was allegedly an armed robber, the police would still have to provide that evidence. They need to convince us. They need to show us that he was, because if they can't and if they don't, they are the liars and they should be held responsible for the death of this young man. He was supposed to be the breadwinner of his family, and according to the mother, she had gone to borrow money to give this boy to start up another business of selling second-hand footwear. That was the business that Albert was supposed to be into before he lost his life. So let's just hope the police investigation come up with something tangible, and soon enough I hope they hold one of their own responsible and accountable for the death of Albert Donkor. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, this story is still developing. If anything major comes up, I'll be sure to update you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification button so whenever there is a new video, you'll be the first to know. And also give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts too on what you think about this Albert Donkor's case. Thank you.